Now to a developing story out of Crookston. Police say that they shot and killed a man this morning after he approached officers with a hatchet. Crookston, if you're not familiar, is about 4.5 hours northwest of the Twin Cities and just 30 minutes from Grand Forks. Crookston police say that just before 1 this morning, officers saw a man swinging a hatchet in the street. When those officers tried to make contact with him, police say the man started approaching the officers. Officials say less lethal methods were used to stop the man, but he didn't. And that's when officers say they opened fire. The BCA is investigating the case. Well, and this just in, the Dow hit 40,000 for the first time. Here's a look at the New York Stock Exchange big board displaying the milestone moment. The move comes amid reports that the Federal Reserve could cut rates later this year as inflation eases from its pandemic highs.
Division! We can do this all day long.
Madam Speaker, I move that House File 5363 be laid on the table.
So much for process, Madam Speaker.
The next bill.
Well, there's just 4 days left in the legislative session, and lawmakers are dealing with the aftermath of a chaotic night. Less than 12 hours ago, lawmakers left the Capitol after a marathon debate and a shouting match. So, Cece, where are lawmakers at now? That seemed like chaos.
Oh, yeah. Chaotic moment for sure. And it's very interesting to watch this unfold. Just hours ago, we were even talking to our chief political reporter, John Croman, and he told us that the outbursts heard overnight, they're pretty rare. But let's get into why this happened. We know that lawmakers were debating the paid family leave bill for 8 hours. Republicans' filibuster used up all the time Democrats had planned for other bills. The House Speaker had the power to start the roll call and did. Republicans were surprised because they wanted their debate to keep going. And they were outraged, actually, as you heard in that clip. They were yelling for the next 2 minutes. John Croman says Republicans held an 11 a.m. presser to talk about how outraged they are about it. So we'll have more on that during our evening shows. But lawmakers are back at work this afternoon, rushing to beat the clock on this legislative session. And they still need to pass several big ticket bills. I'll have more on what still needs to be done in about 30 minutes, Alexis.
Oh, lots to keep up with. Cece, thank you. Well, Minnesota child care centers will soon get much needed help thanks to $6 million in grants from the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. Governor Walz says the money will be used to add around 2,200 child care slots to give parents more options. The St. David Center in Minnetonka will use their $270,000 to start a new center in St. Cloud. It will add 126 new child care slots to that area.
Our children are our next generation, our best community asset, and to invest in them in the first 5 years of life when their brains are just on fire in terms of development, that's the best investment we could make as a state.
DEED has plans to release another $6 million worth of grant money later this year. Well, there's just 6 weeks left before Uber and Lyft say they'll leave the state. Today, we're hearing from the owners of a new rideshare service moving into the metro called Rides.
July 1st, when the ordinance takes place, we will be right there with the maximum that the city needs us to put on there on every trip.
The Texas-based platform says it's in the process of recruiting drivers in the area. The app shows a ride from KARE 11 to the Capitol is about the same price as it would be on Uber or Lyft. Rides says 100% of the fare goes to the drivers who pay a monthly fee for the app. Well, today, a majority of students at Robbinsdale Armstrong High School in Plymouth are in virtual classrooms following a fight at a school yesterday. The district sent a letter to parents saying the building was put on hold because of that fight. The school and the police will spend the day investigating what happened. The only in-person classes today are for students in center-based programming. After-school activities will also go on as scheduled. Well, today we know more about a new plan in Minneapolis to keep the city safer for the summer. Crime historically increases in Minnesota's warmer months. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara says they're planning for the 4th of July and other big gatherings like the Olympic trials and Pride celebrations. And he says they're boosting police presence on the streets and implementing more traffic measures around those big days, something that has been successful for them in the past.
Because sometimes we have problems with kids that come in that are in that sort of in-between age. They're not quite old enough to drink, but they want to hang out, and it causes issues. We have had success just from using some police cars, just blocking off some of the roads in Dinkytown late at night.
He's referring to a violent streak in Dinkytown last year. O'Hara also described how they're using research and data to particularly pinpoint where they need more staff with the goal of preventing gun violence in particular. Well, Minnesota's law enforcement memorial has grown, now with 7 names added. On Peace Officer Memorial Day, 306 Minnesota law enforcement officers were honored. That's how many officers the state has lost in the line of duty over the last 150 years. 7 names were added to the memorial, including 3 officers who died in the last year. Officers from all over the state stood watch over the law enforcement memorial for 24 hours leading up to last night's event.
Well, we've got 2 pretty cool things happening today that we want to make sure you know about. First, the Edina High School boys and girls hockey teams are getting a pretty big honor today. In just about 2 hours, Lou Nanne will present both teams with the Evelith Trophy. It's an award created in part by the Minnesota Wild to honor the state's champions. Following tradition, each player will have 1 day with the trophy. Congrats to all those involved. Well, plus, in less than an hour, we're clearing the shelters. Starting today at 1 p.m., Minneapolis Animal Care and Control is waiving adoption fees for people living in the city. The goal is to get all adoptable animals in their care in new homes. Over the next 2 days, dogs and cats at least 7 months old will have a $15 to $30 licensing fee. It runs today from 1 to 7 and tomorrow between 1 and 6.
Oh man, I love days like today.